So he started to ask me questions about this spiritual path that I'd been on. And I was a bit sheepish about it because it was only 2 months before that I got kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been invited into the inner circle of this organization. And with hindsight, I could see it was, they very much used the fear, the sort of power over the people, and huge self-importance.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see how, fresh out of the corporate world, well, executive position and all that, well, self-importance was the hook for me, and I went.
Yes.
But I think I was the shortest living member ever to have gone into an inner circle of a secret society, because I promptly got kicked out 2 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shared this with Théun, and I said, it was really strange about it, because all my friends were still there. My romantic partner was still there, but I got kicked out, and now I'm standing in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I'd actually be devastated. I mean, I didn't ask them why I was getting kicked out, and they didn't tell me, which was also really interesting. But all my friends were in there, everybody was still in there. But here I am out in the street. And I really thought I was actually going to feel devastated. I mean, what are the friends going to say? What are the people going to say?
Mm.
But in actual fact, what happened was that I had a huge sense of relief. And once again, it was like this feeling of inevitability. Like somebody else was putting strings here. And of course, with that time, burst out laughing once I shared that. And he said, for heaven's sake, he said, you were kicked out of that organization, you cut yourself free. Ta-da! But it made a lot of sense. And then we spoke a bit some more. And then he gave me one of those looks again, the twinkle in the eye or whatever. And he said, so what are you going to do with your life now? I said, I have absolutely no idea.
That's
But
a good
what
question.
I have decided
Mm-hmm.
is that I'm going to retire. I'll be working like a workaholic for as long as I can remember. And this is a good time to retire.
Okay, and that was what you planned to do?
And of course I did. I mean, really, people used to do all sorts of things while I was working, and I just wasn't getting to them. They would go to the beach, they'd go for hikes in the mountains, they would, whatever,
Yes.
I used to look out the window some days when it was pouring with rain and think, oh, it's got to be reading a book in bed.
Yes.
So I was going to do all those things.
Okay.
I had a long list of all those things I was going to do. But I noticed his smile was getting broader and broader. I thought, this is not funny. What's wrong with my idea of retiring? I said, okay, it's going to be at least a year. I'm taking out. I'm going to do all the things that I never did. And the smile got even broader. So he said, okay, he obviously thought he'd give me a little bit of a break. And he said, okay, well, what do you... I said, well, after this year, I'm probably going to do something in the financial world, because that's what I've been doing, that's what I'm good at. But obviously something in my tone of voice got him to then ask me, well, what do you really love doing? I said, what I've really been enjoying is helping Christopher on these courses. He's come down once or twice a month to Cape Town. And just being part of making a difference in people's lives, watching them from the beginning of the weekend and going through some sort of metamorphosis as the lights start to come on for them in the same way that they did for me.
Yes.
So I really, really enjoy that. But the organization doesn't, it can't actually carry 2 people financially, so that's not even an option. I love doing it, and I'll carry on helping where I can, but to do it as a job or something like that, just won't happen.
Yes.
So he said, well, why does it actually make you happy? What do you enjoy about that? I said, well, I've actually been working on myself for quite a long time, and I've always had teams of people that have worked for me. So if I found something new, I would always go back and share it with them. So if there was a course to do where we could all learn something, then I'd take my whole staff with me and we'd go and learn it together. And this was now just being done on a very personal level. This wasn't just work-related anymore. What he said to me later, or sometime later in my life, what Théun said to me, he said at that point I was now sitting on the edge of my chair. Because I was totally unaware of this. I'm a skeptic, of course. And then he just gave this big grin and he started to talk. And he started to talk about what he did, what he taught. The way that he saw life. And it was actually quite amazing because as he talked, the lights just started to pop for me, and just like bulbs going off all the time.
So this started to ring true for you?
Yes, no, absolutely. And it was like a whole pathway opened up for me. This is it. This is what comes after those 2 courses. But the other thing I started to realize, which didn't really leave me feeling great, was I'd been getting all these people onto these 2 courses. But, you know, I was very busy with my corporate job and all that sort of thing, you know, traveling here, there, and everywhere. And it's Christopher's problem. You know, it's his 2 courses, and it's up to him to take people somewhere after those 2 courses. It's not really got too much to do with me. So what I started to realize is what a huge responsibility I had actually taken on by inviting people to come and find out about the courses in the first place, let alone getting them onto the courses.
Yes.
Because I could just see how I'd abandoned them, really. In the same way that I felt I'd been taken to a place and really abandoned.
Yes.
I could start to see my role in doing that with all my friends and their friends and their family that had come along to do these courses. And it was very difficult to describe what was happening for me at that point. It was just like a wow. Just like a wow. But with that there was a yes.
Right.
It was just a huge yes. This is it. I didn't know I was looking for anything. But if I was looking, this is it.
Right.
And
in other words, you just recognized when you saw it. It's
I
what you wanted.
I didn't even know that was happening. I didn't even know I was searching.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was quite actually awesome, I suppose.